So a couple days ago, I started to make a video about Ken Hovind. The Ken Hovind video in question was about an hour and 20 minutes long. I watched the whole thing and made commentary on it because it was called Why Evolution is Dangerous, or that was at least the topic. But after about 6 hours of editing and commenting, I realized that the video was a piece of shit. Not because I'm a piece of shit, but because Ken Hovind can't hold a point. The first 20 minutes were the only part of it about evolution. It quickly degenerated into speculation about various conspiracy theories such as chemtrails. I'm not even going to talk about it. Here's a couple clips from it.
This isn't contrails. This isn't coming out of the engine. They're spraying chemicals all over the United States. What for? Well, they want to reduce the population. This will sure do it, because the stuff they're spraying is going to do exactly that. Don't put them in sex ed classes in 7th grade. It's a plumbing class at that time. Don't do that, okay? Let them be ignorant. Let them learn it from mom and dad, not from some heathen, okay? Premarital sex has increased like crazy since 1963 when evolution became popular in our school system. Now a third of the kids born in the hospital are born to a couple not married. 725% increase in unmarried couples living together in adultery. Divorce rates have gone crazy. Violent crimes up 1,000%. In 1973, our Supreme Court said the word person does not include the unborn. That, people think, justified abortion. A direct line runs from Darwin, through the father of eugenics movement, Darwin's cousin Francis Galton, to the extermination camps of Nazi Europe. Hitler used Nazi propaganda pictures like this, him walking out of a church with a cross above his head. It's all propaganda. He hated Christianity. Did you know they have Nazi baptisms and Nazi altars? You could be baptized into Nazism. It was a total religion. What you need to do is real simple. You follow the yellow brick road. By the way, that whole movie was made to teach us something very interesting. The Yellow Brick Road, the land of Oz, OZ, ounces, gold. They had a straw man, no brain. Tin man, no heart. That's commerce, is heartless. A long, interesting story behind that, the real meaning behind that movie. Who's programming these voting booths that are counting the ballots by computers? Who's programming this computer? Go to Vote Scam on the internet. Just type in Vote Scam and see what you find, okay? Henry Morris has an awesome book called The Long War Against God. That is a must-read for anybody studying creation and evolution. It's a bitter fruit coming off of an evil tree, folks. Evolution is also the foundation philosophy for the New World Order. There's a committee of 300 that basically pulled the string. If you want to study some of the conspiracies, if you get into that kind of stuff, there have been numerous conspiracies. Get the Medusa File or the American Conspiracy, New American Magazine, The Conspiracy, to see what's really happening. We could spend a long time talking about that, about the conspiracy. There's the committee of 300 that really are controlling and pulling the strings, or the Illuminati, top 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati, the super rich bazillionaires. When the Mason learns the key to the warrior on the block is the proper appliance of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands. And before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly handle energy.
And after the conspiracy theories, he proselytized to his audience for about 50 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, and then he spent a final 5 minutes of the video proselytizing to the viewers at home. It was atrocious. It was a bad video. I originally thought I could get some laughs and jab at some low-hanging fruit, but it was just pure garbage. So I realized instead that Ken Hovind, while he is terrible at arguing and supporting his claims, people still believe what he has to say, and this gave me an idea. Why don't we talk about how to talk to creationists? And of course this can be expanded to anyone that's religious. How do you talk to somebody that believes in karma? How do you talk to someone that believes in the Bible? And I thought I should address this because, of course, while I was looking for material to comment on, I saw a bunch of people just slinging shit at each other. That's not the way you do it. So number one, my first piece of advice is if you're new to atheism, if you're new to evolution and you're excited about it, don't talk to people. Don't talk to people that disagree with you. Not because they don't need to hear it, but because you're probably a little bit overzealous at this point. Wait a few months. Wait till the hype wears off. And if you still want to talk to people about it, do it. I know when I first realized that I was an atheist, I was the typical angry atheist. Not really angry, but enthusiastic. And it wasn't a good way to engage people. People don't want to be engaged like that. So number one, if you're new to it, don't do it. Number two, if you are going to talk to people, do so calmly. This is pretty important because it's really easy to get standoffish, and people like this hold their beliefs very dearly. In fact, Theremin Trees has a good video about how people project their beliefs as sort of an extension of themselves. So when you attack their beliefs, you're really attacking the person themselves in their mind. Maybe not in yours, but in theirs you are. When you are talking to them about their deeply held beliefs, including the Bible and creationism, do so calmly. Say right up front, I'm not attacking you. I'm not trying to attack your beliefs. Let's talk about it. The third is don't treat it like a debate. If you're doing this on any kind of format that's not a rigid, formal debate format, then you don't want to be debating people. Don't fall into that trap. Don't go point for point, because it quickly degenerates into people being angry at each other, people screaming, people not listening to each other. I took some advice from a guy named Anthony Magnabosco. He does a thing called street epistemology, where he goes and talks to people in public about their religious beliefs. He uses the Socratic method, which is very different from what I do, but I took inspiration from his tone, which is very conversational, and also his non-confrontational personality. He doesn't seem threatening. Also, what Anthony does is he's careful not to put words in other people's mouths, and this is something that we should do too when talking to creationists. Don't put words into their mouth. Don't assume that you know what they're going to say, because you don't. Creationists are really diverse, as weird as that may seem. They all have different beliefs, and they all got different things that they understand and don't understand. Some of them understand science, but don't want to believe in evolution because of their Bible belief, because they believe it goes against God, and some don't understand science at all, and they don't understand that evolution is scientific, and they think that creationism is scientific. When you start a conversation with somebody like that, ask them, what do you believe? And more than that, what do you specifically believe? And what do you find wrong with evolution? What do you find that's right about creationism? Because you don't want to be putting words in their mouth, and you don't want to start some sort of argument where everyone assumes they know what everyone else believes, because this is not the case. They don't know what you believe, and you don't know what they believe. Make sure that you allow them to be able to question you. Don't act like you're the ultimate authority, because you're not. Be prepared to give evidence when necessary. If they ask for citations or evidence, give it to them. Don't be afraid to admit that you misspoke or that you were wrong. Oftentimes I'll say something that I don't know is quite true, and I find out it's not quite true, and I say, my bad. I was unaware that was untrue. It's happened, not just in evolution conversations or debates, whatever you want to call it, but in anything else in life, and that's an important skill if you don't have that already. Know when to admit you're wrong, but be prepared to back up your claims. Don't talk out of your ass. Don't do anything like that, because that's a bad way to get really slammed. You don't want to talk yourself into a corner. Next, I'm going to talk about certain no-nos or things that you should be careful about doing in the presence of creationists. Don't use, or be careful when using words like believe. This is something that they often run with, because if you say you believe in evolution, be prepared to clarify that you give credibility to it based on the evidence and the facts, not a blind belief. But in general, you might want to be careful when using belief, or you might want to state up front that belief does have multiple meanings and that you might use a few of them. You'll see dishonest tactics like that all the time used by creationists like Ray Comfort, where he asks if someone believes in evolution, and it's a loaded question. The whole point is to argue someone into a corner, or force them to say something that they don't really mean, and then run with it. This is dishonest, but it still does happen, so anticipate it. The next thing you don't want to do around them is act like you believe in dogma. And then this is important because in science, nothing is dogma. You should be skeptical of everything, even what you currently believe. Don't act like evolution is the end-all be-all of evidence or theories or science or anything like that, because it's not. It's still being revised, it's still being expanded upon. Another thing you don't want to do is refer to Darwin a lot. Now, this might sound weird because they might call it Darwinism or whatever, but if you must refer to Darwin, say he started the theory, and then be prepared to explain, or do explain, that it's not his anymore. It's not Darwinism anymore. Just like the theory of DNA is not Watson and Crick's theory or Watson and Crickism. Holding Darwinism on a pedestal is a mistake, because they believe that you already do hold Darwin on a pedestal. They believe that evolutionists, or believers in evolution, or whatever you want to call it, hold Darwin to some sort of divine place, which is totally untrue, or at least I hope it is untrue, for everyone. So these are a couple things that I think you should be careful of when talking to creationists, and I'm likely going to continue this and probably talk about common creationist arguments and things that you should avoid doing, and things which might help you in the future. If you have any suggestions about things I should talk about, leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Right now, while I'm building my channel, I'm going to ask you to share it too, because I don't have a subscriber base. So get the word out. Share the video. You've just been watching The Southern Atheist. We'll see you next time.